Good morning, and welcome to another inspiring episode of the Good Morning Minute podcast, where we start your day with purpose, passion, and a little bit of power. I'm your host, Angelina Mojica, and today's conversation is part of a special series in partnership with the Empower Her Steps virtual conference, a movement rooted in helping women rise, heal, and walk boldly into the life God designed for them. Our mission is simple but powerful, empowering a life purpose. Because we believe that when a woman finds clarity in her calling, everything changes for her family, her community, and the generations to come. So friends, grab yourself a cup of coffee, take a deep breath, and get ready to be uplifted as we dive into real stories, honest lessons, and bold steps towards purpose with our incredible guest today, and that is Dan. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Angelina. It's a pleasure to be on
Yes.
today.
Absolutely. Excited to get to know you even further. But before we do so, why don't you take some time to introduce yourself to our guest?
Sure, I currently live in Southwest Florida, the Fort Myers area, but I am a real estate investor and I do my business remote. So I do it all in the state of Wisconsin. I moved down to Florida about 8 months ago with kind of a life change. My kids are all adults now, so I'm in that season of life. So I have the benefit of doing that. But getting my business where it is today took honestly a lot of challenges, a lot of headaches, a lot of struggles. And if it wasn't for some of my core things that are pillars in my life, including
Mhm.
my faith, I'll be honest, I don't know if I could have ever done it.
And I'm excited to get to really understand that journey with you. But before I do so, I'd like to start with just a little fun icebreaker. And so,
Sure.
Dan, my question to you is, are you more of a sunset or a sunrise person?
I am a sunrise person. So I'm a guy that gets up in the morning. Probably it's everything in life, quite honestly. I like getting up early. I feel like I am my most productive in probably
Mm.
those early morning hours. I'm up. I think it's a two-way question. I see that. I see I'm an actual person that gets up early, right? So
Uh-huh.
I'm very productive in the morning, but I'm also a very optimistic person too, from a sunrise perspective. I
Mm.
try to see things on a bigger picture. I try to think outside of the lines per se of like what is opportunity, what are the possibilities? I've not always been that way. I have not. Only in the last 3, 4 years have I really kind of broke through some limiting beliefs in my life that allowed me to be that way. But because of that, I've been able to change my life, my health, my fitness, everything in between. So,
Well, I'm excited to get into it. And so let
yeah,
me go ahead and ask the question. What
sure.
was the defining moment of pain or challenge in your life, and how did it impact you?
I think the biggest piece in my life was there's a few pivotal points. I'll even go back a little bit further. I've not shared this story too often with people, but there was a point in time in my life where I almost lost my wife. And there was a time in which, I was younger. I felt like,
Mm.
I think with any guy in his probably early 20s who thinks they're invincible,
Mm.
which has
Mm.
never happened. But I wasn't focusing on the right things. It was all about me. And a
Mm.
lot of that was because in my youth and my young age, I didn't have a father at a young age. It was early on about me. I had to make it happen.
Mhm.
So because of that, I probably didn't connect the dots right away when I found my wife, who I'm still married to today for 25 years. But there come a point in time that I started thinking other picture and big picture.
Mm.
And the memory is very vivid in my mind. At the time, I was doing radio. I was doing on-air radio, and
Mhm.
we were broadcasting live. And just the Saturday before, the Friday before, I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I think we need to maybe get a divorce. And I was thinking the grass was greener on the other side of the road, Andrew.
Mhm.
Let's be honest with you. And so that Tuesday morning, I was broadcasting live, doing what we do. We're a heavy and music intensive station, kind of fun, top 40 radio to give you an idea of the music we were playing. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden you get a news story that, oh, a plane hit a building. No,
Mm.
no big deal, right? What happened? New York City, they thought it was a small plane. And then literally 20 minutes later, you realize, no, it wasn't a small plane. It was a jetliner. And then, 20
Wow.
minutes later, we all know the story, right? Not,
Mhm. Mm. Mhm.
and I'll be honest, we turned from a complete music intensive station to news talk. And I was on air normally from like 5, 6 a to about 9 a, but I was on air to about 11 to 12 that day. And I got home and like anyone else was just hypnotized by the television set
Mhm.
and quickly was realizing what is going on here. Why that was impactful is God used that moment in my life to really be like, you know what, Dan? you got something here pretty freaking good. My wife just gave
Mm,
birth to a daughter less than a year ago. And the odd thing about that, Angelina, is up to that point, I asked so many friends and family, like, hey, should I get a divorce? And everyone was telling me you're crazy.
mm,
But yet I was still moving forward with it. So God really shook me to my core, said, listen, you need to call your wife and talk to her and get this life right. And at that point in time, I said, hey, you know what? You need to come home. We need to talk. I'm a jerk. And we reconciled. And to this day, I have the strongest marriage I could ever ask for, a beautiful woman in my life who is my biggest supporter.
mm.
But that really is kind of one of the more pivotal points in my life, probably one of my biggest ouches of a few, but
Uh-huh.
really it helped change mold me into the man that God wanted me to be, perfectly honest. In and
Mm.
outside of the business side of things. But that was kind of the pivotal things where I started to learn the Bible more, got to know a little bit about that relationship with Him, and really how important it is to understand my identity in Christ through that journey.
Oh, wow. And it's been what, 25 years now?
Yeah, that would have been, yeah, when was it, 98? When was that? When, no, 2001, 2001. Yeah, so that, yeah,
Yeah.
5 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Man, I remember being pregnant, very, very pregnant, when that happened and watching and yeah, being stuck to the television, watching that all transpire. Wow, that's amazing. And thank you for being so vulnerable and honest and just open with your story. Yeah. So you're in this point of life where you're just like, wow, I'm ready to just throw it all out and to start anew. Because we always do. We tend to
Yeah.
do
It's
think.
funny you say that. I am definitely at that season of my life. And maybe as we get older and more mature, I mean, I'm 49, so I feel still pretty young, although my kids think I'm a boomer. Yeah, but
Oh no, don't say that.
it is correct because I feel right now like I think God has given me the opportunity to share my story.
Hmm.
And we all have a story to tell. And
Yes.
I think I'm not any special than you. I mean, yeah, you have a podcast, I'm on it, we're talking, but everyone has a story to tell. And we can use that story to empower people. And God really put that upon me over the last year or so to share this to people and get engaged with people. I wrote a book through this
Hmm.
journey as well. So it's been great. It's been liberating. It really feels so natural. So absolutely, I'm kind of an open book. There's not much that I'm not willing to not talk about because I feel if I can help and serve someone to be a better version of themselves, I'm
Hmm.
absolutely going to share it.
I love that because I definitely walk in that too. I'm also 49 years old. But I also walk, I'm like, don't say you're a boomer.
Yeah, right.
But I do. I feel it's so empowering to be just so truthful about your story and openly share. Um, because that is the true essence of freedom. The truth will set you free. I love that. Okay, so let's kind of dive into it a little bit and
Yeah,
peel
go ahead.
about the onion. So you're going through this transitional moment in your life, something very this catastrophe just happens, in the world, but it's also an eye opener for you. It's changing some perspective for you. What was that transition like? Like walk us through that growth season for you.
Yeah, let me even take a step further back if you don't
Sure.
mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I came from, my family didn't have a lot. Actually, much of my family never had much, and that's even outside of my immediate family. There was not a lot of
Hmm.
wealth in that I knew of. My grandparents had some money, but they kind of kept to themselves and what have you. But I didn't really understand money all that often. So I was poor. We didn't have a lot. My dad got injured when I was younger, so I didn't have a father in my life for majority of my mom turned to drugs and alcohol, and I was bounced around from home to home. So, I mean, I had a really interesting childhood, but through all of that, I still was a B plus student and, worked my butt off early in school. And I was going to go to college, but then got an opportunity to work in a restaurant, was running my own restaurant at 18, right? But got burnt out on that. So, as I was
Hmm.
telling you before, a lot of it was because I had to do it myself and I had to figure it out, right? So, what I learned through this growth period of it's kind of maybe started there from a biblical standpoint of just like God growing me, right? But as
Hmm.
I learned through this, I was also going through some other growing pains where I had to realize I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs about myself,
Hmm.
Angelina.
Hmm.
Early on, I was a heavy, overweight kid. I was picked on a lot. I had big ears, so they would flick my ears and all that fun stuff. And that's vivid in my mind today. So
Hmm.
because of that, my self-confidence was not there. A lot of times I would early on in my business ventures, I would only get so far and then I would stop
Hmm.
because I just didn't feel like I was worthy enough to do that.
Hmm.
Right? I'd see other people in my space or in my neighborhood or in my community doing well, and I'd be like, I can't be them. They got something I don't. So I would always limit myself.
Hmm.
So I had to kind of break through those limiting beliefs And only until I did that is only the really time that I saw any fruit in my business. But it took me 12 years in
Mhm.
real estate investing to finally kind of have that breakthrough.
I like that you're making the connection. Like you had to go internally and work on what you were thinking in order to see the reality, the results, the outcomes change for you because it's so true. When we believe something about ourselves, we're going to make sure that it kind of manifests in the
Yes.
reality that we see, right? Because we're looking for that. We're looking for that confirmation just to go back and say, see, I knew it. I knew I
Right.
wasn't worthy. I knew this. I knew that. So I appreciate the transparency because it is true. We do have to change the way we think about ourselves, what we say to ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, get to the core of it. And yes, a lot of life, what it does as far as trauma and whatnot, tends to put those false beliefs into our identity. And so we
Absolutely.
go forward in life going, yeah, this is what life taught me about myself, so it must be true, not knowing that we can change that for ourselves until we hit moments of like a rock bottom or something like that that
Yes.
we can
Well,
do.
it's funny because there's science behind all this. I mean, a lot of people can
Hmm.
think it's woo-woo, like just say it and believe it. No, there's actually a thing called neuroscience and these
Hmm.
neural pathways in our
Yeah.
brain. Just like, if someone, let's say, swears a lot, can you stop swearing? Absolutely. But some people sounds like it's every other word out of their mouth, right?
Hmm.
Blankety blank this, blankety blank that. Just like in the habits in our brain, you can stop smoking, you can stop overeating, you can do whatever you want, but you have to do a pattern interrupt and change the way your brain is wired. And the best
Hmm.
way to do that is you have to go back to the core of what you talked about, whether it be the trauma or maybe it's generational things like, like
Hmm.
this is the way the Allborns always did it. So you're always going to
Hmm.
be this way. It could be
Hmm.
something that your parents inadvertently just did because that's what they were told, right? So once
Hmm.
you can get to the core of that problem, you can now rewire it. So instead of saying like, I don't deserve wealth because I was very wealth adverse. I thought money, not that it was evil, I just didn't feel like I was worthy of it. I had to
Hmm.
rewrite the statement like, listen, I am a successful real estate investor that can be a blessing to others. Right. So
Hmm.
writing a powerful statement and then living that out in my life. And really the transformational in all this was going to Tony Robbins event that really helped me get to the core of that and help me
Hmm.
break through those limiting beliefs and almost destroy them because I didn't want to be that person anymore. In
Hmm.
addition to some other pivotal points in my life that was like there was a true fork in the road, Angelina, and I had to
Yeah.
make a decision to become that person now,
Yes.
or it would have been doomsday for me. So
Yeah. No, I
massive
get it.
action, yeah.
I get it. I was going to ask too, who was the inspiration behind it? So you say Tony Robinson. For me, it was Bob Proctor, but like,
Yeah,
I totally get it. So now you're in this transition. You're starting to understand yourself. You're rebuilding your identity based on
yeah.
what you want to see in life. Um, when did you start sensing that there was some more purpose behind all of this that was going on?
Yeah, I think it's been lingering for a while.
Hmm.
I've been, I did broadcast for a while, so God's given me the gift to teach and speak. I've always
Hmm.
liked that. In fact, even when I was doing sales out for a business, I didn't know if I'd be able to master the thrill of that until I started teaching people how to sell. And I'm like, man, it's way more exciting to see someone else get the victory. So God has always kind of planted that seed that I wanted to teach. But when
Hmm.
I left radio because it was toxic for me and my marriage, and it just was not healthy being in that environment. I stepped out of that public light. Like I was
Hmm.
on social media, but I wasn't posting. I was kind
Hmm.
of more of a consumer than perhaps a producer, right? Or an
Hmm.
influencer per se. Um, and then in the last 3 to 4 years, he was really just like saying, Dan, I want to use you for more. I'm like, all right, God, like show me. But like anything like God, it's not like he opens up the skies and like writes in the clouds, go do this. It's just taking
Yeah.
action, action, action. And then
Hmm.
really what it came through is kind of at a head, I think, shortly before I moved to Florida was like, listen, I want to use you to teach and educate. And then once I moved to Florida, it was the beginning of this year that he really just said, like, listen, you have a platform in being a successful real estate investor and you have a story to tell. And God
Hmm.
really just said, write a book. And if you would have told me, truthfully, a year ago that I was going to
Yeah.
write a book, I'd be like, you're joking. That's not me. I'm not the book writer. But in a matter of probably 2 months,
Hmm.
I spent a lot of time. My wife's like, you coming to bed yet? I just felt on such a destined mission of just telling my story.
Yeah.
Put this to pen to paper, wrote it. It's not fully published out to everything yet. I've kind of done some basic revisions. We're gonna probably
Hmm.
get it out to Amazon here soon. But yeah, I mean, that was so therapeutic for me because it gave me an understanding of my story. And now my thought is, okay, I need to share with others. So now I'm trying to teach
Mm,
people about their identity. So I teach real
yeah.
estate and identity together to like, listen, but you have to get this fixed before you can do well in this, but let's do it together. And
Mm,
not a lot of real estate investors do both of that. They kind of sprinkle in the identity piece and like knowing
hmm
your mindset and stuff like that. It's a core track in what I teach. So I
mm.
think that allows me to help people impact them on their lives, their overall legacy of what they want to do spiritually and financially, and then also for their family.
Wow. And I see so much, like, I see what growth has done for you today. Like, it has truly, your story has truly shaped who you are today. So much so that you're like living the inspiration, right? You're not, I mean, technically you are an influencer, even though you're not on social media, but, you
Yeah.
know, you're out there and you're doing it and you are influencing people through, your speeches, through whatever, your workshops, all those things.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful.
And I'm on back on social media again. So I mean, I
Yeah.
am to your point. I have actually the beginning of this year. I started posting more, right? So
Yeah.
you can find me on social media, and much of what you're going to hear on social media is this, like having a
hmm
conversation with you. I just try to be genuine, raw, and let people know what's going on in my life. And I had a guy just messaged me today. He's like, Dan, like I was just crying, like watching your
Yeah.
social posts. Now that wasn't necessarily my thought coming into it, but it spoke
Sure.
to him in such a deep level. He's like,
Yeah.
man, you're just exactly in the season of life I'm in right now, and I resonate with what you're saying. And I'm like, you know what? Amen. If I can impact just one person, it's not about a million likes and follows and comments.
Yeah.
If that happens, you know what? Cool. But it's like I'm just gonna do and be obedient and continue to do the deed and to
hmm
let God to provide the increase.
I love that. And it's so true. And you're so authentic and genuine and as you're posting and stuff, so much so that you can speak to someone's inner core, so much so that it touches them in such an emotional way that, they're saying, "Hey, thanks, Dan. Thanks so much for the things that you're doing and keep doing it," because we need those encouragements too to know that
For
it is
sure.
it is being
Well, think
impactful.
about this. Tony Robbins mentioned this recently. I think he was the one who coined it, but at least that's where I heard it.
Uh-huh.
So often people want to get, if you're in the social space and you're posting and you're trying to build a brand, and I think that's healthy, honestly, in today's day. That's
hmm
one thing AI cannot take away is your
hmm
personal brand, right? So talk to Gary Vee, Russell Brunson, all the guys who are obviously big people in that space, Hormozy, they talk about building a brand. But
hmm
all it really takes is 200 raving fans to make it explode. So you may sometimes think like, well, I only saw 150 people watching my video, but what if those are the same 150 people that are watching all your videos? And
hmm
now they're really impacted by that. So you
hmm
sometimes have to think it in the right mindset because sometimes if you get so lost in the sauce and the data is important and all that fun stuff because that's part of this game, right? But
hmm
sometimes like who are you impacting? And sometimes it is just that one person that watched it that had made a change in their life, and that should be good enough for you. And as you continue to grow that, so
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So Dan, let me ask you, if there was someone that's in that in between, right back where you were
yeah.
when you were trying to trying to figure out that fork in the road, am I gonna just go this way or am I gonna go that way? If someone like that was listening right now, what kind of advice would you give them?
It's funny you asked that. The same guy who literally minutes before we were on this podcast
Uh-huh.
reached out to me today. Said, "Hey man, give me a call." So we sat and talked, and he was talking to me through his journey and what he's going through and his challenges. And I said, "Well, what do you want to do? Like, what is your why?
Yeah.
Like, you have to really get down to the core of like who you want to be." And then if you really know that's who you want to be, then you have to almost reverse engineer it. Why are you not that person? What's holding you back from that?
Hmm.
And start writing down like all the negative things that maybe I can't do this because I don't have enough money or I don't understand this. And then from there, it's like, is that really true? Running it through the litmus test. Is that really true?
Hmm.
Because the reality is you can find money.
hmm
If you have something in real estate, that's the
hmm
biggest misnomer. It's like, well, I don't have money to invest. I say find the deal, you find the money, and that's so true in this world. So
hmm
money's not really an option. So then now there's mindset stuff. So is it really true that you don't know that? Can you learn that? Right? Is that a skill that you really want to learn? So then what you have to do is then kind of figure out, okay, if that's who you really want to be, are you willing to commit to making the changes in your life? Because the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and
Same
over
thing
again,
over and over again.
expecting different results,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The reality is you have to change if you want different outcomes in your life. So
Mhm.
for me, I had to take massive imperfect action to see it at that fork in the road. It may not be that case for you, but I find that people sometimes that have these splats per se, they're
Mhm.
intended, what could see as splats, the people who make those changes see unbelievable results in their life. So it starts
Mhm.
with that, going back to the mindset, what's holding you back? Is it some childhood stuff? Is it some trauma stuff? Dealing with that, rewriting those things in your life, and
Mhm.
or find a coach or a mentor who can help you on that journey. If you can't do it by
Mhm.
yourself, I had a lot of coaches and mentors, truthfully, Angelina, that helped get me there.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
someone by your side guiding you through that is so helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. I agree 100%. Find your people, find your community, find
Yes.
the resources for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So Dan, what is living with purpose look like for you now?
Well, you know, it's so rewarding because every day I wake up, there's struggles and challenges. I mean, today I had two things I had to deal with my lawyer on a variety of different things, being just
Mhm.
business. They always say, you don't know if you made it till you probably have someone who wants to sue you for something. It's not like that serious and that crazy, but just
Yeah.
mental space that takes up. But even that being said, like I wake up every morning knowing I get a team that works for me that I love. Like
Mm.
every day I have purpose that I can serve them and be a blessing to them. In addition to that, I get a chance to really talk to people. And this is what drives me. I love doing these type of things. I love getting
Mhm.
in front of talking to people and sharing my thoughts and trying to provide impact to the world.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
outside of what I'm doing today, what I'd like to go and grow this is on a much bigger scale, but I have to start somewhere, right? So I just have vision. I have desire. And I think the biggest thing is just the spiritual aspect of this is that I'm just really aligned where I feel like God's having me today, and I'm obediently walking in steps and having God show me the path along the way. Because
Mhm.
sometimes we feel like we need to have A, B, and C and D figured out before we'll take step B. Where
Mhm.
sometimes it's like within reason, you need to take that step of faith to C before you can see D. So
Mhm.
there's some education and things. I mean, some people have the risk tolerance is a lot lower. Mine is
Right.
probably a lot lower than it used to be. But I say a lot higher, I should say, than it used to be. I used to be very like, I'm not going to do that. Now I'm like almost kind of gas. Let's go.
Yeah.
I find that happy medium in my life. But I just live life with full purpose and intention.
Uh-huh.
I think with that, it doesn't allow me, even though I still have struggles and challenges, where before that would destroy me, Angelina, and I would
Mhm.
just go in depression and like months of just being in like, oh, woe is me, how am I going to figure this? I
Yeah.
can now flip out of that in a matter of probably a few minutes with just patterns and things that I do in my life, or I'll call someone to help me change my state,
Mhm.
talk to my wife, and things like that. Having, like you said, having the community around you to support you is so huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that you still understand that you can slip into those moments, but you know how to bounce yourself right back out of it. So I appreciate that transparency if those didn't hear because it does happen. It's not like, oh yeah, I changed my mind and I'm full of joy and I've got it going
Right.
on and I leap with that, leap of faith and all that stuff. No, we do. We still have those moments where, because those things are deeply rooted in us and they're still there, but we just
Yes.
know when they surface how to redirect the energy. So definitely love that.
Absolutely. And some of that's built into kind of the way we were, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes easy to fall into those bad patterns. So
Yeah.
that's why it's important to rewire your brain accordingly. So when that does come and you think the default is going this way, you'd be like, no, not today. This is the new version of me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's so important. You're right. Because quite honestly, even though if you get more successful or you get to a state in life that you're where you want to be, the Biggie Smalls said it best, more money, more problems. So a lot of times you do find that there are bigger issues you got to deal with. So if you can't
Mm-hmm.
handle the small stuff, sometimes God's not going to put too much on your plate. You can't handle that
Yes.
either.
Yeah. He can't bless you with that next big thing if you're struggling right now with the
It's
little.
true. Yeah.
Uh, love it. Dan, I do have, as we start rounding out our
Yeah.
conversation, I have a question for you of legacy and impact. If today were your last day, what would you want to be remembered for?
Someone who loved you,
Mm.
someone who cared enough to take time to take the moment to be present,
Mm-hmm.
someone that always went out of his way that if they needed a helping hand could be there for them, um, someone that impacted their life in such a way that they were able to see change
Mm-hmm.
and they knew I was doing it for nothing more because I wanted the best for them.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I don't know what that larger impact and legacy is. I mean, yeah, I have visions of where I want this to go, but
Yeah.
the dollars and the cents and the business structure really is, I can't bring it with me. right? At
Yeah.
the end of the day, my goal is just to be present each and every day. My prayer
Mhm.
is that who can I serve and bless?
Mm.
I try to make that my daily prayer. Sometimes I miss it, but that really is my heart and my intent every day, whether it be my wife, to make sure that in the busyness of life, I don't lose thought of like what she needs
Yeah.
me for, in addition to a business person or the guy I just spent 30 minutes with, having him tell me his life story. Since I met him in the last 3 years and we've not caught up, and then
Mm.
just sharing some wisdom or asking good questions. So I think that's really where I want to be at is I just want to provide impact and let people know that they're appreciated and loved.
I love that because I too am based out of love, like love and gratitude. Like I want to be able to be someone that understands when they were around me, I gave all my unconditional love to them, made them feel well because I think what they say is like a person will forget what you said or forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And so to have that foundation of love, I think is beautiful. Um, and then also too, I like that you mentioned in here, like you want to serve and bless others through the success that you're building for yourself. And it's so true because like my cup runneth over. And if we hold on to those things and we don't allow it to just flow through us, then we can't have that continued flow of whatever it is, that we're
Right.
offering the world. And so that's so important. And it was so wise that you said that. I hope people out there were listening to catch it because I did. I caught it. Wonderful. So as we get ready to end our conversation, I do have another question for you.
Sure.
If you could leave a bit of truth or maybe a word of encouragement who's to someone out there who's trying to figure out their life purpose, what would it be?
Well, don't give up.
Hmm.
God designed each one of us to be uniquely you. And you
Yeah.
know what? He designed you perfectly to be you. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to have some challenges and struggles, and whether you're dealing with health issues or personal issues, or sometimes it's the mental health issues that sometimes go unspoken.
Mhm.
God can use you to be a blessing. And quite honestly, if you're in a season of life, perhaps, just perhaps, God may want to use that to bless
Mhm.
someone later in life. The
Mhm.
best example was Jesus. And what did he come here to do is to serve. So if
Mhm.
you can use your story to be an encouragement or a blessing to someone, that's what you have to see it as. How can I see you in this moment? So whether you're trying to build some big old business or just trying to get through the day,
Yeah.
you get to choose how you show up each and every day. And even if most of you watching this are probably in the US or even international, some of the
Mhm.
things that's interesting, I have people in my business who live in third world countries, and they're some of the most grateful, thankful people in the wide world. And I'm
Mhm.
blessed that they have a chance to work with me. But they don't have much. We have so much to be thankful for. So if
Mhm.
you come from the heart of gratitude and come from how can I serve, even in whatever capacity you have, we all
Mhm.
have the opportunity to do that. And sometimes it's just as simple as picking up the phone and talking to someone, or
Mhm.
it's giving someone some money, or sometimes it's just praying with someone, right?
Mhm.
So I think
Mhm.
if you come from that mindset, that'll give you the opportunity of like not to give up and find out what your dreams are and start making steps 1% each day to
Mhm.
work towards that dream.
Mhm.
That'll continue to bring that open.
He absolutely will. Such wise words of encouragement. Um, so Dan, let's say we had a listener out there going, you know what, I really am vibing with what Dan is putting out. I want to work with him. I want to get in contact with him. How do they do that?
Well, like I said, I'm back on socials again. So you can find me on Instagram at housebuyerdan.com, or just go to Facebook, danahlborn.com, Ahlbor. And that's probably the easiest way. They can connect with me, follow me on the socials. They can DM me if they want to know more about who I am and what I'm doing, and we can chat and see, whatever, and kind of go from there. So
Wonderful. Well, hey, Dan, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your story, and your light with us today. It's conversations like this that remind us that purpose isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, growing through the things that we go through, and understanding that every step matters. Here at the Good Morning Minute and through the Empower Her Steps movement, we believe every woman has a calling worth discovering and a voice worth using. So, wherever you are today, friend, remember your purpose is powerful and you're not walking alone. Until next time, keep rising, keep trusting, and keep walking boldly into the life God has designed for you. I'm Angelina Mojica, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.